sworn to mend the bond that we have torn. Raise a storm in the wind we've never been before. We have sworn to mend the bond that we have torn.
Say the word, say the word. Say the word, come on. Say the word and we can run around the earth and around the sun. Say the word and we can say, forget about that better place. And I know you're healing, 'cause I know the feeling. The streets stop breathing. Don't wanna let you. Say the word, say the word. Say the word.
Seeing all the reasons we should forget about this place, but I don't wanna leave here if you're just gonna stay. Changing like the seasons, been wasting all this time. Just be like satellites cast beyond the sky. Leave our fate for another day.
Alright, I'm trying to make this stream as short as possible, so we're gonna watch this on ×2 speed. I got my stuff here, just so that way we have stuff to reference, because this is kind of the evidence for this whole thing. We have this Jisoo's document, which kind of has all the information we need, and then besides Katie's screenshots, so here they are. Alright, so let's start.
Technicals is a YouTuber who is known for doing the impossible, uncancelling the cancelled, and turning the community's anger back towards the real perpetrators. For a channel with only 80,000 subscribers, he has a reputation and influence far beyond what his modestly sized fanbase would suggest. His work has been praised by many, and he single-handedly rebuilt the careers of some of the most publicly detested creators in Smash. But what if the person he was defending was actually guilty? What if Technicals was so blinded by his own ego that he vindicated someone who was rightfully shunned? What if he let his personal grievances impact his work to the point where it is devoid of common sense? And what if this wasn't the first time? Today, I'll be dissecting Technicals' work and the recent drama he's got himself into, exploring his motivations and what made him this way, as well as rightfully exposing the Smash creator known as Zero, the one who got away.
This may be a little personal, but I like Zero, and if he decides to continue making content, I can't think of a single reason not to. Even after gaining significantly more money and more access to minors, there's been no new... As he had a slip-up. Did you...
Fast forward through this.
Okay. Let's set the scene. Technicals is a YouTuber primarily known for his thorough investigations into the controversies of the Smash community. He's created many long videos dissecting, exposing, and exonerating people in the Smash scene who so supremely deserve it. In fact, he's a creator that I've worked with in the past. I made the intro for his fantastic video on the Sky House, as well as the title card for the video that we're going to talk about today. I always considered his work to be one of the best, and undoubtedly the next one in commentary to make it big. Even though I knew absolutely nothing about Smash, his videos were always incredibly engaging and kept me hooked the whole way through. To be honest, I considered him to be the last one to go off the edge and start saying some insane stuff. He always seemed super level-headed and sensible. But everything I once believed got flipped on its head on the 17th of November, when he dropped his video titled, What Really Happened to Zero?
Today officially marks the beginning and end of an era in Smash history. In the past year, we've seen a growth in distrust of leadership, entire cases turned upside down, and a one silent majority no longer afraid to question the status quo. I mean, why shouldn't they? The loudest ones are the reason both you and I are here in the first place. But as I said before, that ends today. Because today I'll show you how two of the biggest cases in Smash history have never been solved. Until now.
In July 2020, serious allegations were brought to light that threatened the reputation of one of the Smash community's biggest titans. They focused around Zero, a Smash YouTuber with over 1 million subscribers. Zero had built a reputation over the previous 15 years of being one of the greatest Super Smash Bros. Players in the world, setting a world record of 56 consecutive tournament wins from November 2014 to October 2015. There seemed to be no stopping Zero and his continual success, so the community was rightfully taken by shock when Jisoo, a rather large player in the Smash scene, started to make some rather severe accusations against Zero. The community, of course, ate them up without much thought, as they always do. And that's when Technicals comes in. Technicals' past investigations have always been made with the intention of...
Actually, let me...
by shock, when Jisoo, a rather large player in the Smash scene, started to make some rather severe accusations against Zero. The community, of course, ate them up without much thought, as they...
That's not exactly true. Most people rejected her allegations until Leffen came along and tried to corroborate them. And then it started having more credibility to them and people started believing them. But it's not like people instantly ate them up the second she put them out, so... Just wanted to clarify that to anybody who might not.
They always do. And that's when Technicals comes in. Technicals' past investigations have all...
I remember watching Swan's Chris Hansen videos, agreeing with every single one of his points without having any issues with them, and I still getting mad at him for just his delivery. Yeah.
always been made with the intention of rebuilding a subject's reputation online, and include a public call to action, pressuring the Smash community to apologize or welcome people back. What happened to Zero is no exception. The first 13 minutes of the video is exactly what I would expect a good Technicals video to contain. Tech breaks down 5 separate false allegations against Zero and solidifies that Jisoo is still human garbage. There was certainly a severe amount of misinformation and exaggeration when people came out against Zero, and Tech was able to skillfully make sense of it all and rightfully blast people who messed it up. But after we reach the 13-minute mark, the mood changes pretty drastically.
This, in my opinion, is probably the only serious and legitimate problem that people have with Zero. Everything else is either fabricated, as we've seen, or extremely, and I mean extremely, over-exaggerated, which is honestly a testament to just how clean Zero's record is if they have to lie this much.
Spoiler alert, Zero's record is not clean at all. Not in the slightest, actually.
Dude, that part I kind of agree with. I feel like Tech could have rephrased that instead of saying his record is clean, which is a testament to how clean his record is. I feel like he could have just... I just feel like that wasn't the right wording. Alright, next.
Eagles begins to recount the allegation levied against Zero by Katie, an active viewer of Zero in 2014. They began chatting on Skype when Zero was 19 and Katie was 14. These messages consist of nothing short of Zero grooming this young viewer who looked up to him. Surprisingly, Technical's video does not include a reading of the messages or do Katie's story justice at all, highlighting only 10% of Katie's 1,300 word tweet longer, so 90% of the context is missing. It was at this point that I realized that Technicals was trying to build a narrative.
Obviously, I'm talking about it because it's a narrative. Every video that talks about shit like this is a narrative, obviously.
Since Tech omitted pretty much all of Katie's tweet longer, I say we explore some of the missing sections to gain a better understanding of the case at hand.
Dear Zero, my name is Katie. I used to be in the Smash community. I was 14 years old during our conversations on Skype from September 2014 to January 2015. We met online when you were streaming on Twitch, and I messaged you over chat. You seemed to take an interest in me and gave me your Skype username. I, starstruck, made a Skype just for this and began chatting with you. I'll note that I was decently educated when it came to internet safety, but I mainly regarded things like don't message a stranger and whatnot. But you weren't a stranger. You were Zero, a top player. You won the E3 Invitational and several tournaments before. Having any attention from someone like you was mind-blowing to me. That's what made me an easy target. I was a young girl enraptured with the idea of being friends with someone I looked up to and admired. You used me in this state to flirt, manipulate, and ask for sexual favors from me. To remind you, this is what happened in our conversations. You called me kitty, kitten, honey, all mine, while flirting the entire time.
Tell me some more about you. Like, what do I not know about you?
Oh, I'm 14. I'm a girl. I'm smart, but I love Smash. Also, do you think that we could video chat one day, sometime? Not now.
Yeah, I've seen this video before, so I've seen the entire thing through. I just wanted to capture my reaction live and just kind of debunk some of the points that he makes. Yo, nice content, my dude. Love the Leffen video. Thanks, dude. Expect more content in the future. 2022 is going to be the year of franchise nation, whatever. Alright.
No, you don't have to.
Yeah, sure we could.
Go, Zero, go. Imagine me with pom-poms and a cheerleader outfit or something.
Lamau, adorable.
Thanks. Wait, you, the legendary Zero, just called me adorable?
Yeah, you're an adorable cutie.
Thanks.
So adorable.
No, seriously, this is like a big deal for me. You're like one of my role models / favorite persons. Just, I'm your official adorable cheerleader. Seriously, I'm blushing so hard right now.
Adorable cutie.
Oh, be quiet.
Well, you loving it. Can't lie to me.
Yeah, I am.
Lol, you are so adorable. OMG, too much.
Stop.
I just want to make my opinion on this clear. Like, just this alone is unacceptable, and I don't support this in any way. I don't want to come across as me like supporting this, like these messages because they're still inappropriate. Whether they constitute grooming, as John Swan said, that's a different story. I don't, not that I disagree with it, but I just feel like, I don't know. But anyway, these messages are still inappropriate, so.
Kitty cat Katie.
Seizure.
You're going crazy for me. You just love it. You're loving it, girl. So loving.
You manipulated me. For example, you called me a pervert and made me believe it when in reality I was being goaded to say things by you.
Kate, you a perv though. It's okay. You growing up. It's gonna happen. You are still a baby.
You also told me I was your secret, and so I couldn't tell anyone about our conversations. Do your viewers know why you're probably falling off your seat right now?
No, you're my secret.
What? I'm your secret? The fuzz does that mean?
You're such a cutie. Mad, adorable girl. Yeah, no one knows what we're doing.
Wait, what? I'm your adorable girl. That's really creepy, but also really cute. I mean, what?
You call it creepy, but you love it. You're like, I hate you, but love this and this.
No.
Yes.
I will never admit it.
You're loving it. Predictable. I just know it.
I won't admit it, ever.
Yes.
Never. Zero, please. The worst defense I can remember is that you asked me to masturbate with ice and take pictures. I lied when I told you I masturbated as you asked, and then I declined sending you pictures. The worst part of all this is that I did not take screenshots of this particular situation since I was so embarrassed by it. You wanted to make this activity a habit, that every 2 weeks I would do what you say for a day.
I promise I'll be normal. If every 2 weeks we could do something like that, or in that day, I could go all in.
Swear on the river Styx?
Jason, I promise you. As long as you promise me that those days, you are all mine.
Fine. Particular situation since I was so embarrassed by it. You wanted to make this activity a habit, that every 2 weeks I would do what you say for a day.
I promise I'll be normal. If every 2 weeks we could do something like that, or in that day, I could go all in.
Swear on the river Styx?
Jason, I promise you. As long as you promise me that those days, you are all mine.
Fine. Here's why I never came out about this. I blamed myself. I admit that I was extremely enthusiastic in our conversations.
Okay, that part's kinda... that part's kinda incriminating. I mean, maybe she's lying. Obviously, there's a possibility that she's lying that those two are connected, but at the same time, like, that's not a good look.
Because I was just enamored with the fact that I was talking with the top player. I idolized you, and you used that to your advantage. But don't take it as, oh my god, Zero's so hot. No, not that kind of love. Well, maybe a little. I mean, what? But I love you like I want to be like you. I mean, I'll be your little cute, adorable kitty that's also your personal cheerleader when you need it. I'd probably do anything for you. Not bad for a 14-year-old girl, huh?
Oh wow, I'm surprised. I had no idea you felt so strong about me. I'm honored. You're adorable and very nice. We could definitely talk more and stuff. I'd like to know you some more.
But because I was so naive, I considered myself responsible for years and thought that my experience would be invalid because of my actions. I didn't take screenshots of the worst situations. The screenshots I had were actually when I was so starstruck that when I...
Who is Jason? I think it's some reference to something. Yeah, this is definitely sus. I'm just... this is bad.
Thought was happening to me was special, so I kept them for posterity. Only later did I realize that the messages you sent weren't good for me at all.
I love how you react so funny to things. Mad adorable. It's like when you rub a cat's belly and then they just roll around.
You will not rub my belly.
Yeah, he should definitely be banned. Like, he deserves to be banned for this. I don't want to say... I'm not trying to make the case to, like, unban him from tournaments. I just think that Zero's banned, Nairo isn't. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Nairo's technically still banned because he can't compete and be put on a Twitch stream because he's banned from Twitch. Jason is M2K? No, I think it was a reference to something like Percy Jackson or something. Some, like, mythology or something. Or some, like, reference or something. I don't know. I don't think he's a danger to children now, but yeah, that's basically my opinion. I don't think this is indicative of some, like, deep pedophilic, like, mindset that makes him a threat to children. I just feel like I just feel like he should still be banned because he did something that crosses the line and breaches that kind of trust where he's lost the privilege to be able to be a part of this community, but at the same time, if he wants to do his own thing, we can't really gatekeep his life, let alone push him to suicide like some people want to, but you know, what he did is still bad, and it's, yeah.
Yeah, why only do that?
Despite the way the stories have been told lately, I believe I will still receive immense backlash. She wants attention. She just doesn't like him. But trust me, I wish this never happened. And I wouldn't wish this amount of mental stress on anyone as well. These months of my life have haunted me for years. Ever since we stopped talking, it's been in the back of my mind. Whenever I saw a video of you or saw you talking to other top players I admired or saw a fan talk about how great of a person you were, I would feel sick to my stomach. And this feeling's been growing even stronger these past few days, telling me that I have to say something, that I have to speak up to end this conflict. All I want now is closure, a genuine apology. I was a kid back then. I was stupid. But you were an adult and you should have taken responsibility and said no. You never should have encouraged any of it.
What grade are you in?
Ninth, so I'm a freshman.
OMG, you're a baby hand. Adorable. Smash skills don't matter, kitty. You'll grow out of it eventually.
I'm now an adult, as old as you were when we first talked, and I cannot imagine ever talking to a minor the way you talked to me. You knew what we were doing was unacceptable, and you should have stopped it way earlier than we did. I realize that you have the power to reject everything I accuse you of.
I mean, here's the thing about this, like, so, like, one of the main themes of Tech's video is that Zero's upbringing kind of distorted his perception of how, like, relationships are supposed to work, which could be an argument or an excuse as to why this isn't, like, some deep-seated, like, pedophilic kind of thing that makes him a current danger. Because when she says, what grade are you in? Ninth, so I'm a freshman. Like, when Zero was a freshman, there were people, like, 19, the age he was when this came out, when, this stuff happened, there were people that old in his high school. That would be, like, in that case, it would be one of the older people dating a freshman. That doesn't make it, now, obviously, I'm not trying to make this I don't. I probably shouldn't be saying this because it sounds like I'm defending him, but here's what I'm trying to say. We all agree that this is wrong. But then we get to the next question, which is this is this indicative of Zero being a pedophile? Like, is Zero a pedophile? Tech says no because reasons. They, like the rest of the commentary community, or parts of it, say that yes, he is. Because reasons. And it should have just been agree to disagree. That's all this should have been. Tech thinks one thing because, you know, from his upbringing, this stuff was encouraged, and this stuff was okay. And as he matured and grew and learned and lived here, then he realized it was bad, and he learned it was bad, and he stopped. That's why he, and also I, don't think he's a current danger. Whether how bad you think this is, and whether certain events took place or not, that is why we don't believe he is a current danger to children. Now, does that mean he should be let back into the community? No. Because he still did bad. To quote Tech, if you don't think this is wrong, I have a guy in New York who wants your search history. Yeah, he just grew up, that's it. But at the same time, like, what he did, the damage he did is still what he did. Yeah, the damage he did is, it's there. It's there. And that's why he shouldn't be allowed back. He's done too much damage. But if he wants to do his own thing by himself, I mean, we can't gatekeep it. And honestly, I don't think we should. Oh yeah, I think it was in DC. So yeah, the American justice system is based on reform, not punishment. I disagree. I think people don't understand the difference. If it was based on punishment, in prison people would never get out. That is true. If you go textbook, it is, but if you argue logistics, you can say he isn't. I genuinely feel like a lot of the commentary... Yeah, I feel like that's 100%. I feel like they're just grifting. The damage is still there. He just needs to get punished. Yeah, he's been punished. He's banned. He's lost his sponsors. If he wants to make content on YouTube, I don't see why we should stop him, basically. But once again, this stuff is still inappropriate. It's unacceptable. And that's why he should be banned. I saw a comment earlier saying that Zero shouldn't be on YouTube and should just work a normal job. Gave me a brain tumor. I mean, what job would he be able to work? I agree, there are still parts of the Skype messages that still haven't been filled. The fact that she hasn't responded says a lot. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. She's still anonymous. She hasn't said much, and that's kind of what makes this whole thing difficult. Even Tech said Zero should be... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Zero has accepted it. He doesn't want to come back to tournaments. I'm pretty sure in his EE interview, he said the community gives him PTSD, so he doesn't want to come back. This whole cancel culture thing has gone way, way too far. People don't want reform. They want people to either die or never work again, which is just unrealistic. Yeah, they just want to stay mad at people forever. Thing is, he just wanted to do YouTube because now he probably can't even get a job outside. Yeah, exactly. First stream here, how's it going? It's going great. If the person is reformed, then all you can do is distance yourself reasonably. I don't see what further punishment Zero can go through that satisfies people. Suicide. That's what they want. They want suicide. When they saw he attempted it earlier this year, they were popping off, dude. Alright, let's continue.
Call him G, you're a baby hand. Adorable. Smash skills don't matter, kitty. You'll grow out of it eventually.
I'm now an adult, as old as you were when we first talked, and I cannot imagine ever talking to a minor the way you talked to me. You knew what we were doing was unacceptable, and you should have stopped it way earlier than we did. I realize that you have the power to reject everything I accuse you of that I don't have evidence for. I understand that this was 5 years ago, and that you very likely matured and changed since it happened, but I want you to realize the effect you've had on me. I've grown as a person too, but I've had this burden on my heart for years, and I want to let it go. I will very likely never return to the Smash community, in part because of what happened between us, but I want to close the book on the situation for good. Signed, Katie.
And that's why he should be banned.
If we assume that all of what Katie says is true, this is disgusting. Remember, Zero is not...
If we assume that everything she says is true, this is disgusting. Or you could have just said, if we just take the parts that she provides evidence for, this is disgusting. Why do you have to just assume everything she says is true? That's the problem. You're building your premise off of just assuming everything is true. Maybe let's continue.
19, and he's aware the girl he's engaging with is 14. I think the word grooming has somewhat lost its meaning.
Hold on. Alright, sorry about that.
The past year or two due to the label being attributed to cases that don't really justify it. But let's make this very, very clear. This is textbook grooming, and it's repulsive. In fact, I'm pretty comfortable saying that based on this, Zero should not be allowed back in any online setting where you would have the ability to interact with minors on a daily basis. This is pretty standard in nearly every other profession that involves children. If you're a teacher and you get caught grooming a student, you are removed from your position and not allowed to work as a teacher going forward. The same goes if you're a counselor, coach, or tutor. From just looking at the screenshots Katie provides myself, the level of precision and research that would have been needed in order to make these would have been next level. But thankfully, we don't have to do forensics on the screenshots to judge the validity of the allegations, because Zero actually confessed, and he went one step further and confessed to stuff we didn't have screenshots for.
Hey, I can't sleep, and I just can't take this back and forth. I don't think it makes sense to keep this going. I just want this all to stop and for me to at least atone. I also want people to stop defending me. I don't deserve it. Katie, the screenshot you guys were wondering about the ice cube thing, it's true. The claims that Katie makes are true in general. There are no graphic pictures or anything of the sort, but it's unforgivable regardless.
Okay, pack it up guys. Case closed. We have a confession. This was probably the stance of most people prior to Technical's video. If you have a confession to inappropriate conversation with minors, that's game over for you in the online space.
Yeah.
But what Technicals does next is completely out of left field. In fact, the first time I watched it, I admittedly couldn't contain my laughter. Just roll the clip.
If you're an observant reader, you may have noticed the stark contrast of tone from his previous responses. That's because Zero wholeheartedly intended for this to be his suicide note. And had it not been for Vanessa, that may have well been the case.
Yeah, I believe that, because he did attempt suicide eventually. Not immediately after making this, but he did eventually attempt it. Let me read these. I missed some of these. Let me scroll up. I guess. Okay, I get where you're coming from, and yes, it's happened in my own school. From what I've seen, doesn't make it good, and even I justified that stuff until I spent more time outside. In life past high school, I'm 24, John Swan in 2021. If we assume Omega Law. I just don't understand why top players keep doing vids with Nairo when his case is much worse than Zero's. I mean, we'll see the Nairo case when we see what's going on there. If we assume everything is true, this is disgusting. The sky's also blue. Alright. That's the thing. He's also trying to craft a narrative more so than Technicals allegedly did. I find that hypocritical. Yeah, at the end of the day, that's kind of the whole point of these videos. It's to craft a narrative. It's just, is it maliciously crafting a narrative or dishonestly crafting one? Oh my god, his voice. Ain't this the man who said back down, cornered and blasted from his friends? Yeah, I mean, that's kind of irrelevant because that doesn't really change the fact whether he's right or wrong. It just makes him a bad dude, in my opinion. Because it's like, that's not the only thing he did that was dumb. Like, there was some situation with him and this YouTuber Pie Man who was like 15 when he was like, this kid, he basically like bullied this kid. Not even bullied, but he brought up like false allegations or something against the kid for like grooming or pedophilia, which is like, it's a kid. You can't, how can you be a pedophile? Like, that doesn't even make sense. And by the way, the other kid was like 12. It was like 15 to 12, so that's not even... Like, if it was like 15 to 6, then we're you know, weird. But like, yeah, and then when Pie Man was like, Pie Man was basically suicidal, and John said he was like suicide baiting or something. It was a dumb situation. Alright, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it was okay or that it is suspicious. I'm just saying it's inconsistent. Did he literally compare a teacher to an internet job? I mean, here's how internet jobs work. So long as a platform allows you to platform yourself, then you can keep the lights on. That's it. I feel like commentary channels are just talking about this for content. I've never seen these guys talk about competitive Smash before the Me Too. Yeah, like, they don't know what they're talking about. Like that's the problem. They're trying to get from point A to point B when we've already finished the alphabet a year ago. Like, that's basically the stage we're at. Like, they're playing catch up. Isn't how one dude is amazing how one dude is compliant with his ban is just trying to make the most of what he has left, and is trying to move away from Smash is seen as abhorrent. Yeah, basically. But Leffen, who was never compliant with his ban, showed up to venues despite it, and to this day denies all of it despite proof. Yeah, exactly. Wasn't it days after the note that he attempted it? No, it was several months. He attempted suicide earlier this year. So yeah, have you seen the post of Isam where he said you shouldn't want Jisoo and Leffen banned? It was on a server he owned. Like, here's the problem. Like, I remember seeing something like that, but I don't remember what he said. But I think it was along the lines of, like, basically what they do is this tactic called presupposing a frame, where if we assume that all the allegations were true, then Jisoo and Leffen did nothing wrong. And that means that they shouldn't be banned. And that if you want them banned, then you defend groomers. But if the allegations are false, then you're an idiot, because like then they should be banned. So yeah, they're just assuming that the allegations are true and saying that but they're skipping that part. They're not framing it in the way of, do you think the allegations are true or not? It's, they are true, and that's just implied. They skip over it to basically change the subject. They're like, okay, if you want them banned, I mean, why would you want them banned? They stood up for victims. You see how that works? Even though the allegations are false, you just skip over that fact and just assume they were true and make your argument based off that. And that's just kind of how you control narratives. It's just, I'm copying tech format, but I disagree, because he's not bringing any... Yeah, he's bringing nothing new! He's nothing new in this video! There's nothing new! Nothing! Nothing! Nothing Augie didn't scream at Keemstar about. I agree, I'm not saying she's lying, but still a lot of it is still in question. Yeah, that's why she kind of needs to come out. What's up, MetaQ? Isn't that the guy who made up rumors about Dream, or am I tripping? He didn't make up rumors, he just lied. Like, Dream was the one that said, on like a Reddit post, said something like, I wouldn't trust John Swan because he pretended to be me and go around messaging people with slurs, along with LT Cobra. And then John Swan made a big deal about it and lied about saying that it was his 12-year-old autistic cousin or something. And then he basically, the problem I have with John Swan is that he weaponized the entire commentary community to fight for a cause that didn't exist. He basically manipulated them and lied. But especially over something that wasn't even a big deal. It was a nothing burger. Like, all you have to say was, yeah, I did it. I thought it was funny. Oh, well. And that's it. That's all he had to do. But he had to make up some massive lie and basically weaponize his friends and his community against Dream. And make him seem to be, like, the big bad guy. And then he even made, like a whole, like, audio book responding to Dream that was, like, edited. Like, voice... It was a whole mess. It was the dumbest thing. And the worst part is that when his friends like Nick confronted John Swan about what happened, he had no remorse. He was just kind of laughing like, oh, like, they were like, John, is this true or not? And he was like, well, if you know, you know. And just kind of laughed it off as if he wasn't being complete. Like, yeah. Alright. I've missed a lot of these messages. Let me just skim through them. Esam's definition of victim is if you accuse somebody. Yeah, that's literally what it is. Leffen and Jisoo are the king and queen of Smash. Yeah, if it was like the French Revolution and they were like eating cake while the people are starving, then yeah. Where was this? The commentary community treated this video like it clarified everything. Yeah, it kind of did, because it kind of just summed up all their arguments into one coherent video. So it kind of did that, but they're bad arguments. So it's like, yeah. According to Augie, this is a tactical. Yeah, Augie's an idiot. Uh, alright. So yeah, let's continue.
If it's not too personal, what stopped you from committing suicide?
Technical spends the next 3 minutes interviewing Zero and Vanessa, recounting details about Zero's graphic suicide story. This entire section completely took me by surprise, and I can see it served no other purpose than to emotionally manipulate the audience to feel bad for Zero.
Except he did attempt suicide, so this isn't just emotional manipulation, it's actually important because if he did end up attempting suicide, then it wouldn't be a complete shock for his confession to be a suicide note. Especially, look at the tone of this. Hold up. His confession. Look at how he ends this. I'm working right now to obviously lose my sponsorships or any type of thing like that. I'm obviously not making more videos in general as well. He also says, I really want to atone and I just want this discussion to stop. I'm not a good person. It doesn't matter how terrible my life was. I did terrible things and that's the end of it. I don't deserve for people to defend me. Does this sound like a... Like, what? I love you guys. Please don't be like me and please don't forgive me either. I won't forgive myself either. I could see someone taking their life after saying this stuff. Alright, let's also read this bit. There's one more girl I spoke to in 2014 period a bit later. Her name is Laura. Originally, she never told me she was underage. She said she was older than me. I have a screenshot of this, but it doesn't matter nor make it better. But years later, she contacted me and said she was actually underage. I apologized to her privately recently and told her I feel absolutely terrible about it. There's no graphic picture. He's literally saying... Like, he's literally, like, acting like this is bigger than it actually was. He's like, yeah, I did this, whatever. Like, he's basically, like, saying that this was wrong, even though it wasn't. So I feel like he was just at a point, I feel like this is just him at a breaking point. Yeah, I feel like he was at a breaking point at this point. And they say he's trying to emotionally manipulate the audience to make this sound like a suicide note, when in reality he did end up attempting suicide. Let me pull that up just so that way this doesn't get twisted. All right, Zero suicide. Smash. Yeah, right here. And this is what he talked to E about. Get out of the way. When did it, like, can I get an exact date? Because I remember Vanessa said specifically, whatever. Let me see. Can I find the exact date? It's like, why would you basically admit fault to a situation that you shouldn't be if you weren't completely conceded? If you weren't completely conceded that, and you were just gonna end it all there. Especially when you read the end of this and you're like, oh, I want to atone, stop defending me, my life was terrible. Like, what? Who says that and then does it? Like, if I'm told this is a suicide note and it says it doesn't matter how terrible my life was, yeah, I'd 100% believe them. I'd 100% believe that. It was in March. An attempt to take his own life in March was followed by a period of silence, but Zero has now thanked fans for their beautiful messages. Yeah, so he did attempt suicide. Yeah, a whole half a year later, more than that, but he did attempt suicide eventually. Combined with the fact that, look at the tone at the end of this. Look at the end of this. And yeah, I do believe this was a suicide note. When he retracts it, and he says, this is a suicide note, I believe him, and if that's the case, then this was written under extreme duress from all these outside sources like Leffen, who, if you remember, blocked him, closed off all DMs with him, when Zero tried to ask him, like, hey, what are you doing? Why are you telling these lies when you could have just came to me privately? And he literally just says, oh, you gotta say this publicly. Like, yeah, I believe him when he says this is a suicide note, and if that's the case, then this wouldn't fly in a court of law. Vanessa a real one, to be honest? Yeah. She really is. Right, like, why would Zero add more flame to the fire with the... Exactly! Exactly! I didn't... You're lucky I didn't read that deleted message, Zet Sun Zero. You're lucky I wasn't able to get to it. Also, John Swan ignores the fact that other false allegations were squashing Zero because everyone believed them. Attempted suicide in March was also a relapse, according to Vanessa, which would imply he was in the same state during the summer. Vanessa was just what? Yeah, like, yeah. When they say this is a suicide note, I believe this. I don't believe this is emotional. I don't believe this was emotional manipulation or anything like that. I believe it because that's what this sounds like. When you put it in that context, I can believe that. Or at the very least, it is an alternative to a confession. Maybe it is a confession. Maybe. But it could also be a suicide note. I don't see how this is impossible for it to be that way. I think so. That's just me.
The last 2.5 minutes going over claims that he asked a 14-year-old girl for news when he was 19, and then we spend an entire 3 minutes where he has the opportunity to speak about his darkest moment. The manipulation becomes even more blatant when after 3 minutes of pulling at your heartstrings with this part of the story, Technicals just jumps right back into the allegations. Here he glosses over the messages and broadly calls them
100% unacceptable.
and then delves into the legal arguments that no one with any notable platform has ever made, at least not to my knowledge. I can only assume this because the tweets he shows to transition into this section have no likes and 3 likes, respectively. If any big names were making these arguments, or if this was even a consensus in general, don't you think he would have pulled some more popular tweets? I don't buy it. Everyone is aware that the police are notoriously terrible at prosecuting online crimes, especially when there isn't explicit material involved. Technicals knows this too. By debunking an argument that no one was making in the first place, Tech is priming the audience to accept his version of the story. It's all about building a narrative.
Obviously, I'm talking about it because it's a narrative. Every video that talks about shit like this is a narrative, obviously.
And that becomes even more apparent in the next section of the video.
Now, the million-dollar question is Zero a pedophile? Now, I know that this is a very emotionally charged subject, and some of you have probably already made up your minds. But when it comes to a label that would suggest past, present, future, and potential harm of children, I think it's important to make sure that the shoe fits nice and snug.
This definition is so specific and has such a high bar that it cannot be reasonably applied to most people the society would be pretty comfortable with calling pedophiles. You have to remember that most pedophiles never offend, and that pedophilia is simply defined as sexual feelings directed towards children. Twitter pedophiles have even coined a phrase for this, NOMAP, which stands for non-offending minor attracted person. You would probably call these people...
Yeah, but... Okay, so let's go by your own definition.
The society would be pretty comfortable with calling pedophiles. But when it comes to remember that most pedophiles never offend, and that pedophilia is simply defined as sexual feelings directed towards...
Would you say he still has those feelings today? That's the argument. If no, then what's the problem with him just doing his own thing? There is a clear problem with him coming back to the Smash community. I agree. But if he just wants to do his own thing, what's the problem with that?
Towards children. Twitter pedophiles have even coined a phrase for this, NOMAP, which stands for non-offending minor attracted person. You would probably call these people pedophiles, and you would be completely justified in doing so. But under Technical's definition, they wouldn't qualify because they themselves have stated that they will not and have not harmed or abused children. When you arbitrarily raise the bar for definitions like this, it starts to have unintended side effects. For example, should a YouTuber with a child fanbase that has admitted to being a non-offending pedophile be allowed to create content for children? Absolutely not. And the same goes for any other profession that involves children. But Tech's definition allows these people to weasel out on a technicality, and it becomes even more confusing as the video progresses.
For instance, let's take someone who more than likely could be categorized as pedophile, EDP445. EDP had messaged multiple underage girls, and despite almost getting caught one time, still ends up in a sting operation with a 13-year-old. People who are pedophiles like children. Repeat offenders literally cannot help themselves. It's classified in the DSM-5 as a paraphilic disorder, which means that they have persistent sexual urges or fantasies about children and act on them, or it causes them extreme distress or difficulty in their interpersonal relationships.
In this part of the video, Technicals completely misrepresents the DSM-5. I can't tell if this is due to pure ignorance or him trying to build a narrative, but I'll let you decide. In response to the question of, is Zero a pedophile, he references pedophilic disorder and reads out the qualifiers. But the only problem with this is that pedophilia and pedophilic disorder are two very different things. In fact, the DSM-5 actually makes the distinction in 6 different places. In the new DSM-5, pedophilia is depathologized by differentiating between the sexual preference for pubescent children and the disorder in case of additional factors. These factors include experiencing significant distress and impairment by fantasies and urges, or the acting out on behavioral level, including CP consumption and or committing hands-on child sexual abuse offenses. Clinically, this is an important distinction because a high percentage of pedophiles do not act on their sexual urges, and 40 to 50% of sex offenders that have engaged in sexual contact with children have equal or higher sexual arousal with adults. But of course, Technicals either admitted this information or he just didn't read it. And you should probably do that if you're trying to make the argument that Zero is not a pedophile.
Your goal is to prove that Zero's not a pedophile, right?
Yes.
Pedophilic disorder has a much higher bar, and thus the qualifiers that he reads out cannot reasonably be applied to Zero. There is no clinically accepted definition for pedophilia, it just doesn't exist. So let's remove the DSM-5 for a minute and focus on the definition that is generally agreed upon. Sexual feelings directed towards children. Under this definition,
fair.
would Zero be considered a pedophile? Just to remind you, when he was 19, Zero...
Is he today? I don't think so. That's my answer. There. Said it.
groomed a 14-year-old girl for months and pressured her to send him pictures of her performing sex acts.
Wait. So earlier in the video, you said, assuming everything is true, this is grooming and this is bad. And then you just have this whole segment of the video, and now we're up to here, and you say, you go back to that without providing any other evidence besides Zero's confession that he retracted and called a suicide note. So basically, you're only going off of if everything Katie says is true. Your only evidence is a retracted confession. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Just stop. Just stop. If you think he's still a pedophile, you think he's still a pedophile. I'm not gonna argue with you. You have more than... You have a reasonable take if you think that. Because he is because he offended once. You don't trust him. Fair. That's all this should have been. It should have just been agree to disagree. Stop branding Technicals as the pedo defender. Just because you think he is doesn't mean he... Whatever.
So, let me repeat myself. Is Zero a pedophile? I'm going to let you come to the decision on your own, but needless to say, Technical's complete misrepresentation of the DSM-5 is totally irresponsible and clinically incorrect. It plants seeds in the audience's mind that Zero cannot possibly be a pedophile because he doesn't fit the extremely strict qualifiers, when that definition is talking about something completely different.
I want to take the reins here for a second and just ask
Yeah, go ahead.
a simple question of each person in this chat. I'm 19 years old, right now. I turned 19 in August, so I'm 19 now. I'm the same age that Zero was when this shit happened, okay? If I was caught talking to a 14-year-old girl, asking her to shove ice up her pussy and send me pictures of it, regardless if the girl did it, how would each person in this call feel about that? Augie, how would you feel about that?
Yeah, the problem is that the proof for that stuff doesn't exist. Like the pictures of the action. The messages between them exist and they're still unacceptable. So if you want to... So if that's the evidence you want to go off of, fair. Fair. But if you want to... But if you're going to just say, oh, assuming everything is true, then Technicals is a liar. Like, you're doing the same thing Esam's doing. Like how I said Esam's doing. You're presupposing a frame. Wait, did he say... Wait, hold on.
And clinically incorrect. And pressured her to send him pictures of her performing sex acts. So, let me repeat myself. Is Zero a pedophile? I'm going to let you come to the decision on your own, but needless to say, Technical's complete misrepresentation of the DSM-5 is totally irresponsible and clinically incorrect. It plants seeds in the audience's mind that Zero cannot possibly be a pedophile because he doesn't fit the extremely strict qualifiers, when that definition is talking about something completely different.
I want to take the reins here for a second and just...
The sped of voice matches the seriousness of his argument. In my honesty, yeah, like that's the thing. The thing is that you're assuming that everything's true without the evidence, and the only evidence you have is a retracted confession. That could also be a suicide note. That's why. That's why people disagree with you, not because they want to defend pedophilic actions or because of Tech's brother or whatever, which he's going to talk about that later, which is the dumbest argument, and it's actually dumb and shouldn't be made. And you could talk about, oh, digging up stuff or whatever, but the problem is that it's just... We'll talk about it when we get to that. This video is getting me heated because Technicals, who is actually involved in Smash, is trying to clean up the Smash community, and we have these outsiders yeah, that's all they're doing. That's all they exist for.
Just ask
Yeah, go ahead.
a simple question of each person in this chat. I'm 19 years old, right now. I turned 19 in August, so I'm 19 now. I'm the same age that Zero was when this shit happened, okay? If I was caught talking to a 14-year-old girl, asking her to shove ice up her pussy and send me pictures of it, regardless if the girl did it, how would each person in this call feel about that? Augie, how would you feel about that?
You would be a sick fuck, and I would never talk to you again, and I would make that abundantly clear in my public platforms.
Oh, Lex, how do you feel about that?
I'd be confused, mind-fucked, angry.
Would you be willing to talk to me again? Would you be willing to have me back in the community in any way? Would you associate with me in any way?
Probably not.
Edwin?
No, dude, that's gonna be hard. No, I mean, oh, jeez, no, dude.
Hipster, what do you think?
Oh, God.
I would think that you're a massive fucking degenerate and I would have no problem burning that.
But is it just degenerate? Is there another word you maybe want to use? If a 19-year-old tries to...
You're a pedophile. You're a fucking pedophile.
Okay,
You're a
there we
fucking
go,
pedophile. You're
there we
attracted to
go.
children. You want children.
So chat, consider that, okay? Consider that.
Yeah, okay, so imagine that, but like 7 hours long. That's what your average Augie stream is like.
If I, at the current age I am now, talk to a girl, I would be derided, okay? I would be shat on beyond belief, and I would deserve it. I would deserve it, because the idea of me as a 19-year-old talking to a 14-year-old is fucking repulsive. What the fuck do you have in common with a 14-year-old, Zero? Tell me. Tell me what you have in common with that 14-year-old.
The next part of Technical's video serves two purposes. To further build his case why he believes Zero is not...
So is it possible to like cure pedophilia? Because then you could also make that argument that like he just didn't, even if he was, that he's not anymore. Why is Tech's brother being brought up in a Zero video? Well, you'll find out shortly.
Pedophile.
You'll find out
this
soon
hyperbolic
enough.
and stupid tweet made by Leffen. I could think of several ways to cover this tweet, but the angle that Technicals chooses honestly shocked me.
Even after gaining significantly more money and more access to minors, there's been no new cases. Before he was canceled, he even ran an entire team of children. This would be the perfect case study if I've ever seen one. So I reached out to some of Team Zero to see what they had to say on the matter. It's my understanding that you guys had like a group chat too. Did you ever get any weird vibes from Zero? Did he ever ask you guys to do something you probably weren't comfortable with?
Technicals interviews too.
They keep hyper focusing on the ice thing as if it'd be better if Zero asked for something else. Yeah, can I have a small fries with that? It's called getting a real girlfriend, yeah. Do you love how John Swan's using the circle jerk of Augie's stream as a reference? Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
The kids that Zero worked with, where they told him that they got no weird vibes from him. I mean, why would they? The relationship was purely business, as Tech himself states.
But no, he's done absolutely nothing weird in the group chat. Like, he's only spoken a few times, and when he would, it was just for getting us to film a video with him.
Oh, okay, so it's more like purely business.
Yeah.
I fail to see how interviewing two boys in a business chat that Zero was a part of adds literally anything to Tech's point. And from what we know,
This
guys
is a
aren't even his gender
decent
preference.
point.
Alright, your goal is to prove that, Zero's not a pedophile, right?
Yes.
How can you prove that Zero's not a pedophile by interviewing people who are around him and said where they go, well, he never was weird around me. How does that prove he's not a pedophile? That just proves he didn't molest them.
This is just saying that he's not manipulating the children of the community. Because I directly show a quote from Levin saying that if he wasn't removed, he would still be manipulating
I
children
don't
in the
want to
community.
be a dick, but it's like, oh, you're not a pedophile? Okay, name every child in the community. Oh, we'll interview every single one of them.
fucking God.
I'm just saying
I honestly don't get what your point is.
because, alright, so your overall goal is to prove that Zero is not a pedophile.
Yes.
Right. How can you accomplish that further? By randomly interviewing people who have been, like, around him.
He literally brought these kids into like the mainstream. He brought them out of fucking being just an average player to top players. So if the assumption is that Zero likes kids, Zero manipulates children, he takes advantage of them, why isn't he taking advantage of any of the children he was fucking directly working with?
But does that mean he's not a pedophile manipulating
Which he
kids?
obviously showed an interest in because he specifically said, I like them, I'm going to sponsor them to support them so they can grow in the community.
I'm losing brain cells by just watching this. It's completely irrelevant technicals. Hold on, this next bit of text video.
I mean, here, I think this is a fair argument if all the people in Team Zero were dudes. Like, that's the argument he's making, that if they're dudes, then all that means is that he's not a homosexual groomer. Which I think is a fair argument. Which I honestly think is a fair argument. Considering that his only offense was with a girl, so... But if there were girls in Team Zero, then this whole argument he's making is dumb. Nick was arguing just to argue. Yeah, that's what they do. That's just what they do. Source, trust me, bro. He used Augie's stream footage a lot, but remember, he didn't make this video to get credibility back.
It's just outrageous.
Let me get this straight. He had the Disneyland equivalent of a pedophile's paradise and didn't ride Space Mountain once. Damn, Zero's really dropping the ball here. So what? His whole team is full of dudes. That only proves he isn't a gay smash pedophile technicals. Who cares? To which I respond, I guess that means you can cross off 90% of his options. You'd think he'd diversify his profile a little bit.
So, instead of responding to a very legitimate point about sexual preference, Tech responds facetiously, saying that essentially there aren't that many girls for him to groom, so he should be fine, and that he doesn't understand why Zero wouldn't just groom some boys as well if he really was the vicious pedophile that he's claimed to be. Look, I get it, it's a joke, but I would expect that after this joke we actually would get a legitimate response to this very fair question, but we just don't. He moves right on to the next point. You heard the argument he had with Nick. He isn't really...
That is the only good point John made this entire debate. Not debate, this entire video. That is the only, like, half-decent point he makes. All video. That's it.
We have an answer to this question, which is why he deflected with jokes, hoping nobody would notice.
Let's just recap. It would be impossible for Zero to go to jail over this. He never exchanged any images. Every other story involves an adult, and he hasn't had a slip-up in 7 years.
Yeah, he just kind of tripped and fell and grew to mind for like 3 months and asked her to shove ice up her pussy. Not my idea of what a slip-up is. And what exactly is he slipping up from? Slipping up from being attracted to minors? This explanation just makes no sense, man. And saying that no images were exchanged is just poisoning the well. He asked for them. It doesn't matter if the girl sent them or not. The intent was still there. Now, to Tech's credit here, he does clearly disavow the conversations in the following section.
Do I condone the conversations that took place? No, and I hope I've made that very clear.
But come on, let's not beat around the bush here. He did not make this clear.
Except he did. If you don't think he made it clear, that's a you problem. I think you're just dumb. Dumb enough to lie to an entire commentary community to weaponize them against Dream. You're that dumb. Dumb enough to go after a kid and say that he's suicide baiting when he's not. Maybe you're just that dumb. I don't know.
Like, at all.
What I'm trying to say is that I don't believe this to be the result of a specific or malicious preference, as is the case with repeat offenders such as pedophiles and Discord mods. What I think we're looking at is a culmination of a fucked up childhood and trauma, resulting in emotional immaturity and a lack of genuine and fulfilling relationships. When Zero first publicly shared a story of how he grew up in Chile, we discovered how his father exposed him to sex at the age of 5, and brutally beat him and his mother.
And here we go again with the emotional blackmail. It's insane to me that no one else...
I don't think this is emotional blackmail. I feel like he's just giving context as to why he would do something like this. Like, they call it excuses, but I think it's just giving context and an explanation to answer the question after. Like, as I said before, there's... First, is what he did wrong? Yes. Next question, is Zero a pedophile? That's what he's trying to answer with these, quote-unquote, emotional manipulation tactics. He's just trying to give context to help answer that second question. That's it.
Let's call this out. Oh yeah, he might have asked a 14-year-old girl to stick ice up her pussy, but did you know he tried to kill himself? He may have groomed her for months, but did you know how messed up his childhood was? Like, it's just so blatant. Tech doesn't even try to hide it.
I'm not just saying this so you'll pity him.
When you literally just listed all the reasons why you should pity him. This is so bad faith. It's insane.
I'm just saying his circumstances were pretty fucked, and it's not unreasonable to assume that a traumatized, depressed shut-in would have a lack of meaningful and genuine relationship experience.
I wonder how the audience would react if this was said about someone like EDP. Imagine if he went out with a statement that said, guys, my father beat me, and I was bullied in...
Yeah, but EDP did that to multiple children and didn't stop after almost getting caught. So it's not at all a fair comparison.
school. I haven't had a genuine relationship, so that's why I messaged the 13-year-old for nudes and tried to meet up with her. He'd be laughed at, ridiculed, and told there's no excuse. And rightfully so. None of this excuses Zero's behavior. I think I just want to quickly talk about something that has been made abundantly clear to me over the course of Technical's video so far. It's pretty apparent that Tech is making excuses for Zero throughout.
No.
And very little attention has been spent on the actual allegations themselves. Just to remind you, Katie was groomed for months by a person she looked up to when she was just 14 years old. Zero took advantage of her for his own twisted gratification and caused her severe mental distress in the process. The twit logo that we read at the beginning of the video makes me sick to my stomach, and I can't imagine the strength this poor girl had to go through to come out about this abuse of power. Why are we making excuses for this? Why are we trying to minimize it? What Zero did is repulsive, plain and simple. I guess here we are.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
Sorry for that tangent there. It just makes you really upset, you know? Like, I shouldn't even have to say this right now. The internet's gone completely crazy. Okay, let's get back to the video. The next section is pretty uneventful. Tech interviews some of Zero's friends and Zero himself to try and give some context as to why he's socially awkward and shouldn't be held to the same standard as the rest of us. Yada yada yada. This goes on for 4
Edwin's making a video? Yeah, we'll be doing a watch party then.
minutes. You can watch it yourself. I'm not gonna go over it. It's completely irrelevant.
When you look at Zero's development over the years, even as recent as his marriage to Vanessa, you'd be hard-pressed to establish any kind of significant behavioral trend, considering how the single instance in 2014 is the only existing point of contention. Now, if that's enough for you to still be against Zero and think that he's an irredeemable person, I kind of understand where you're coming from, but if what Leffen and Jisoo said is true, you wouldn't need to lie this much to prove it. A pedophile will usually do that themselves.
I'm honestly a bit confused on what he's saying here, because I think there's more than enough to establish guilt while being completely truthful. Is this directed at me? Am I missing something here? Oh, whatever, let's move on.
This may be a little personal, but I like Zero, and if he decides to continue making content, I can't think of a single reason not to. If you just thought to yourself, wow, that's a pretty risky and controversial opinion, Technicals, then I'd argue that this opinion is 1,000 times less controversial than what a majority of the Smash community already openly accepts.
Oh, no, he's not gonna do what I think he is, right? Tech spends the next 6 minutes discussing Nairo. And to be fair to him, this section is honestly pretty good. This is what he's best at, dissecting responses critically, something that I wish he'd done in his section on Katie. However, this section also serves another purpose, and that is to make Zero's case more palatable. Because the Smash community welcomed Nairo back without much reservation due to a legal document that apparently exists that no one has ever seen, implies that Zero should also return, because what he did.
No. He said that Nairo should be banned just like Zero. What? He literally made a video called Ban Nairo. Oh my god. Oh my god. He never implied that Zero should be let back. He explicitly said Nairo should be banned. He said Nairo should be banned. Oh my god. Oh my god. Dude, he literally said Ban Nairo. He literally made a video called Ban Nairo. Let's watch Ban Nairo. I already reacted to it. You can find it on my channel. It's in the live streams playlist. Yeah, I've seen Ban Nairo. Hold up.
Responses critically, something that I wish he'd done in his section on Katie. However, this section also serves another purpose, and that is to make Zero's case more palatable. Because the Smash community welcomed Nairo back without much reservation due to a legal document that apparently exists that no one has ever seen, implies that Zero should also return.
You're an actual moron. You brainlet. You absolute brainlet. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. I think you might just... Listen, you might just be the autistic 12-year-old. We don't know. It might have just been you. It might have. We don't know. That might have just been you. If you're making arguments like this, when he explicitly said, ban Nairo, that was the point. And he made a follow-up video called Ban Nairo.
Because what he did was apparently not as bad. Because as Technical says,
At least I know for sure what Zero did and didn't do. Can't say the same for Nairo.
Except that's kind of true.
finally we're nearly at the end.
When I first took on this case, I'll be honest, I had quite a few reservations about Zero. Some of you might even remember me saying things like, I can't do anything, I'm not a fucking miracle worker. But after thoroughly reviewing the case files, the motivations, the state bylaws, the contradictions, and the traffic violations, I came to where I am now. Zero's conversations with Katie were 100% irresponsible and wrong in my opinion. The issue for me is that this isn't something that was caught in the moment. This happened once 7 years ago when he was 19, and then never happened again. The only inference I could reasonably pull from that is that he either realized it was wrong and stopped it himself, or his—
But what if we assume he was the autistic 12?
his mental maturity finally caught up with him after years of trauma and a lack of proper education.
I really don't like the way Tech is framing this. By saying that this only happened once, he's negating that the grooming of Katie actually took place over the course of 3 months. If Zero messaged her for like a week and stopped, maybe I would believe this a bit more, but he was living and functioning in society as a pro-Smash player, and his actions have no excuse. Don't mess me with this, whose mental maturity finally caught up with him. Bullshit, I don't buy it. Okay, so why did he stop? Well, there could be so many reasons why. He could have been caught by a friend or family member. Maybe he let it slip out during a conversation. Or maybe he got struck by paranoia from seeing something online. Just because we don't know if this happening again doesn't mean it hasn't. And it doesn't mean that Zero should be allowed to post content.
Do you have proof that it happened again? The only proof that he continued to do this was lies by Jisoo and Leffen and other people. Like Jesus Christ. Whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty? In terms of, like, future cases, not in this one.
children again. I'm personally not comfortable with that at all.
I can't for the life of me point to anything that would correlate him being a current danger to children, like Levin would suggest. Zero never exchanged images with Katie, which is his worst perceived crime to this day.
He asked for them, doesn't matter if he didn't
He asked for them. If we believe everything Katie said, and we go based off a retracted confession that was a suicide note, I'm gonna do the same thing that you're doing. It's a suicide note, and it was made under extreme duress, so it would never fly in a court of law. His confession would... You know what? We have to remove that context, remember? But his confession would never fly under a court of law, and he retracted it. I'm gonna do the same thing you're doing. The only evidence, and it's not even evidence, that he asked for them is Katie's word and Zero's retracted confession. And if you remove that, then you remove the worst part of this case, which also means, like, that's kind of... Like, I'm gonna just reiterate this. What Zero did is completely unacceptable. But you're making the dumbest arguments. Oh
see if any of the intent was still there. How many times do I have to go over this?
Nairo had undeniable sexual activity with a 15-year-old and has still not provided his full defense for his innocence. His attorney says that he could ultimately exonerate him, so why hasn't he? He made it sound really easy. If Nairo feels like his audience isn't owed a detailed explanation, then according to the severity of the allegations, he isn't owed a platform either.
So, my question is, where do we draw the line? If Nairo isn't owned a platform because of the severity of the allegations against him, why should Zero be owned one? Sure. Sexual contact with a minor is certainly worse than what Zero did. I'm not denying that. But they're both bad, right? If you ask for images but don't receive them, does that make it automatically fine?
But you have no proof that he asked for them.
And for you to continue making content, the moment you start drawing these arbitrary boundaries, what is and what isn't acceptable starts to become murky. The solution? Both of them should be shunned from the community. Let's stay consistent.
I'm not asking for
True.
justice.
That's literally the point of his video. That's literally the point of the video. That's literally the whole argument he's making. Both should be banned.
I'm
Or
not
neither
even
should
asking
be
for an
banned.
apology. You don't have to say anything. So I'll just say the only thing that's left to say. Welcome back, Zero.
Why are we welcoming this guy back? Why is everyone okay with defending this dude all of a sudden? Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what to think. If you want to support Zero in his return, that's fine, go for it. But surely I can't be the only one that thinks this is insane. This dude's clearly depraved. You've seen the messages. This isn't the sort of person we should be welcoming back. In fact, I don't believe we should be allowed to create content for children again. This sort of stuff is like a one-strike policy for me. Imagine this applying to anyone else.
That's fair. And that's fair. If you think it's a one-strike policy, that's completely fair. But to act like that's the only take that you could possibly have is just...
Yeah, but asked a minor for nudes. He only did that one time, so he should
Well, you have no proof of that.
be allowed to continue teaching at a school. This doesn't make sense, does it? It's insane to me that people are defending this guy. Tech, like, come on, man. Why did you get involved in this? Actually, come to think of it, some of you could probably ask me the same question. What's my stake in all this? Why did I spend $20 on these shitty suspenders for this bit? No offense to these people, but I don't think I have anything to gain from trying to win over people from the commentary community again. Those who hate me won't stop from this video, or any video really. Honestly, if I wanted to be in the good graces of anyone right now, it would be Technicals on his crowd. If I was interested in numbers, I'd just join them. He's ratioing commentary creators constantly. He's winning the game of Twitter likes by like a whole margin. So why am I doing this? Well, simply, I believe Tech is in the wrong. His video clearly makes excuses for Zero, there's no question about it. And he's let his hatred for certain people in the Smash scene take over his common sense and reasoning. Someone needs to go in here and set the record straight, and I decided that that person's gonna be me. I would love to end on that dramatic note, but unfortunately we still have a little to go. I think it's important that we discuss Zero's response when he returned. I wanted to put it earlier on in the video, but I couldn't find a place to weave it in nicely, so it's going in here. Zero starts off his video by promoting Technicals' work and discussing the document created by Jisoo.
To start off, you probably heard of all this from a document made by Jisoo, which was then later spread by multiple media outlets. This document contains a very large amount of lies, falsehoods, big exaggerations, and honestly,
Why is he copying Tech? Because that's kind of the reference he's trying to make.
it is nothing more than a piece to assassinate my character and ruin my image to the general public. There is a lot to go over, but the easiest and best way to learn the truth is to watch these two videos made by Technicals, with one of them actually being released today. Technicals did extensive research for half a year to really dig the truth, interview many people, gather so much evidence, and honestly, he put two pieces together that could explain what really happened better than I could with my own words.
But the most contentious part comes around 2 minutes in when he gets to his confession that I mentioned earlier.
You have also probably heard of a so-called confession from my part. Simply put, this document is nothing more than a suicide letter that I wrote during a tremendous mental breakdown. I had fully planned to take my life right after posting that document because I pretty much lost all faith in that scenario, seeing so many of my close friends deciding to take the situation, to throw me under the bus for personal gain, seeing how people were reacting in general, and me just feeling like I could not defend myself properly. Pretty much took the last bit of hope that I had left, and I decided not just to give up, but to sabotage myself on purpose.
What does that even mean? It sounds to me like Zero is saying that in his darkest moment, he admitted to stuff that he never did to ensure his career would be completely over. That could not be what it's supposed to mean, but it's so vague that realistically it could mean anything. I sabotaged myself, like what? Apparently Technicals hasn't received a solid answer from Zero on this matter either, but it's up to you whether you want to believe him on that. If we progress on the assumption that Zero admitted to stuff he never did to ruin his career intentionally, there are a few things that just don't make sense. The first time we see the twit longer in Technicals' video, he actually alters it to remove around 2/3 of it. The rest of the statement is actually pretty important, so let's have a read of the rest.
hey, I can't sleep. I just can't take this back and forth. I don't think it makes sense to keep this going. I just want this all to stop and for me to at least atone. I also want people to stop defending me. I don't deserve it. Katie, the screenshot you guys were wondering about that ice cube thing, it's true. The claims that Katie makes are true in general. There are no graphic pictures of anything of the sorts, but it's unforgivable regardless. I want to just be clear about it here. There's more than one girl I spoke to in the 2014 period a bit earlier. Her name is Laura. Originally, she never told me she was underage. She said she was older than me. I have screenshots of this, but it doesn't matter nor make it better. But years later, she contacted me and said she was actually underage. I apologized to her privately recently and told her I feel absolutely terrible about it. There's no graphic pictures or anything either that was exchanged, and she's from another country. I really want to atone. I just want the discussion to stop.
I don't know if you caught that, but Zero actually defends himself in several portions in this Twitlonger. This doesn't sound to me like someone who's trying to intentionally sabotage themselves at all. I simply don't believe someone would be willing to self-destruct / admit to solicitation from a minor and then...
Wait, hold up. Hold on. Wait, I don't need to, because I have the document here. There's one more. Was it? I forget if this was responding to another allegation, because I remember the first time I heard of this was from this document. This whole situation would be so much easier if Katie would reveal herself about the situation. Yeah, exactly. But she won't, so. John Swan literally admitted to sabotaging himself in the dream drama. What an idiot. But yeah, if this was in response to an allegation, then I could kind of see John Swan's point, but from what I remember, I didn't know about this lore story until Zero brought it up. So if Zero would bring this up, I don't see how this could be seen as anything other than self-sabotage if this was just him bringing up a story that wasn't even in contention at the time. If Zero was the same skin tone as Zaptai, I'll bet commentary would sing a different tune. Like, I don't get why they're so insecure about being called Nazis. I mean, look, all I'm saying is, you kind of have a point. You kind of have a point, honestly. If Juicy brings up Katie in this lawsuit, then Katie would definitely be revealed, and we can see. Yeah, that's the only thing. That's the thing. If Katie wants to be brought into this lawsuit, apparently you have to. Whatchamacallit. You can't be anonymous. I'm interested in what Katie thinks about the situation, but she's basically a ghost in the wind, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if Laura was in contention at the time until Zero brought it up. So if that's the case, then how could this be anything other than him sabotaging himself? At the time, he's acting, the tone of this reads like he's almost taking fault for it, even though he's innocent. And then when you read the rest, wait, does he?
Then also defend himself in the next paragraph by explaining he was catfished by Laura, claiming he can prove it, disputing CP, claiming Laura was from another country. Why on earth would you admit to the Ice Cube thing and then contest other things within the same Twitlonger? This just makes no sense. Even in his confession about Katie, he clarifies that there were no pictures exchanged. I don't buy this excuse that he sabotaged himself. It sounds completely ridiculous. Imagine EDP used that same excuse and said that his confession on video was just him sabotaging
Stop
himself.
comparing him to EDP.
No one would take it seriously. Does Zero think we're all just gullible?
Now, I need to make this very clear to everybody watching this video. I have never received explicit images from any underage individual. I have never sent explicit images to any underage individual. I have never made travel arrangements with ulterior motives with any underage individual. I have never been touched in any shape or form any underage individual. And I have never had conversations with only the intention to groom an underage individual or take advantage of them. Anything you may have heard or seen that suggests otherwise is a lie.
Did we read the same messages? Because that's what it looked like to me, mate. Talking about messages, Technicals accidentally leaked these ones on stream. It's Zero talking about.
Wait, so you're not even gonna read the rest of this confession? Let's see, I really want to atone and for this discussion to stop. And you just stopped it there. You didn't read the rest. And this is what it says. I'm not a good person, and it doesn't matter how terrible my life was. That sounds pretty dark and grim. It doesn't matter how terrible my life was. I did terrible things, and that's the end of it. I don't deserve for people to defend me, and I'm supposed to take this as just BS? Like, what does that sound like to you, John? I mean, you didn't include it in your video. Talk about controlling narratives.
Katie, and shocker, he doesn't sound like he's sorry at all.
Also, this may be huge, but the next challenge is Katie. And the biggest question is still, who is she? And is she really who she says she is? I was thinking, if Jackie gets canceled, or is close to, which is very possible now, we may be able to pressure her hand to get Katie details. I have a great feeling there's manipulation in that story, and Katie herself. And since Katie's a ghost in the wind, we may be able to uncover her. So I'm just saying this could be a play. Jackie's a snake. She will throw Katie under the bus for self-preservation, if she has to. So we could use that.
For everything Katie went through, this just seems like a slap in the face. This guy clearly does not care about the damage he's caused.
I mean, I feel like Technicals answered to this in one of his previous videos when his Skyhouse video came out, and that the point of that they were talking about trying to figure out who Katie was. That was the next step. She made the accusations. They're trying to figure out who she is, so that way they could get to the bottom of it. That's basically just investigative journalism 101. I suspect he manipulated the evidence to make Tech look like a liar. Yeah, that's all this is. Because that's all these guys are. They're grifters. They're grifters. That's it.
You know, the question I had while all of this was going down was, why is Technicals batting for this guy so hard? There's no question about it. What Zero has done is repulsive. So why is Tech trying to make excuses for him?
What he's done is repulsive. He asked for messages if you just believe everything Katie said.
For a while. At first I thought that he did it all to spite Jisoo, who definitely sucks big time, by the way, but that didn't quite add up to me. Then I thought that he did it because he became friends with Zero, but apparently he hasn't known him for that long. So why? It just makes no sense. Well, my answer came from a place I didn't expect it, from the folks on Reddit.
Okay, this is the part with Tech's brother. This is the dumbest argument that these guys are making, and makes literally no sense.
The situation involves allegations surrounding Technical's brother. And before anyone has a go at me for going after family members, Tech's brother was a public figure in the Smash scene at the time of these allegations, and has since amassed an audience of nearly 1 million followers on TikTok, over 40,000 YouTube subscribers, and 12,000 Twitch followers. Back in the day, this situation got so big that Tech had to make a public response. Tech still shouts him out publicly and talks him up on podcasts.
The guy in that sketch is my brother. He's also a content creator.
Oh, okay, what's his channel?
Pixel Drink. He's also on TikTok. Yeah.
Check that shit out.
He was even at VidCon this year, rubbing shoulders with some of the biggest creators in commentary.
Just to clarify, this is the same guy we met at VidCon?
Yeah, this is definitely fair game. So, with that out of the way, let's progress. Last year, allegations of sexual misconduct were levied against Technical's brother, known online as Turtle SSB or BJ. The allegations stated that in 2016, BJ had sent not safe for work art and news of himself to a group chat with the minors in it.
So if you're unaware, TwitLonger was released earlier today about me addressing some things that happened in 2016 when I was 19 years old.
For most people that know BJ, you may know he's a pretty good artist. He would constantly share drawings he's made on his social media into our friend group chat because they were really nice and it's a skill to be proud of. I don't know if it's as well known, but he was also very much into creating NSFW art as well.
So as some of you may know, I like to draw. So back in 2016, I wanted to get better at drawing, so I started drawing NSFW art in an attempt to improve my skills at drawing anatomy. So I did that. I started drawing hentai.
No matter what he drew, I would usually appreciate it simply for what it was because it was so well done, NSFW or not. I remember one night opening Discord and finding out that he made a very graphic drawing of my friend 16 and I 17 having sex. He sent it to our Discord server. To me, this was extremely disturbing and disgusting. I did not consent to this. Plainly said, I felt violated and humiliated by this drawing's existence.
It became a running gag in the group chat that I was in that had people from 13 years old up until I was the oldest, I was 19. It became a running gag to sort of ship each other together in pairings. So how it started was there was art that was drawn of me with another person in the group chat who was obviously underage. I think I was the only person that was an adult at the time, without my consent. And a couple other images were drawn with similar pairings of other people in the group chat. So then I took it upon myself to join in on the joke that we were all partaking in and drew an image of Albie with another person in the group chat who I will not name.
He was also 19 at the time of making it, which makes it even more disturbing that he made a drawing involving 2 real-life minors. Remember, not fictional characters. To him and a few others, it was seen as a really funny drawing and they posted it over and over laughing about it, but I remember expressing how uncomfortable I was over it. It is beyond me why he would do this, but he also proceeded to upload this drawing to the Rule 34 website.
Those images don't exist anymore because I deleted them. They were on Rule 34 up until a couple days ago, but then I deleted them because I didn't want them to exist anymore because they're really weird and gross. So I went to go take them down because I haven't looked at it since 2016. Really dumb to be posted online anyway.
Now I want to address another problem I have with BJ. I don't think there's too much explanation that we'll need to go into these simply because it's all in the screenshots. To give context, there were a few people involved in a group chat in which the majority of the members' ages range from 13 to 16, while BJ himself was 19 at this point, I believe. Here are some messages and screenshots saved from him interacting with them and sending nude images of himself.
So let's move on to the nude pictures that were shared in the chat. In this chat, this group chat that had people from 13 years old to my age 19 at the time, the conversations would often veer off into like adult topics like porn, sex, etc. Just thinking back on that now, that's like a red flag. I should have removed myself from the chat as soon as conversations started to veer off in that manner. We would often try to like shield the 13-year-olds from like those kind of conversations, but they would still happen in the chat. Like there's nothing stopping them from scrolling up reading. They would also like make separate group chats amongst themselves, myself not included, where they would share nude photos of themselves with each other, which is really weird thinking about it. It was like a weirdly sexual environment. Conversations would often delve into like adult topics and they would share nudes of themselves and lewd pictures amongst themselves and sometimes in the chat that I was in. So I thought it would be funny to post a picture of myself in the chat just for like shock value. I thought it was really fucking funny. I was rolling laughing after I posted it.
In the next pair of screenshots, you can see him imply that he would be sending a nude image and is immediately informed and reminded of a 13-year-old being in the chat. Looking at the timestamps, you can see he disregards this and proceeds to send the image anyways.
As you can see in Albie's TwitLonger, I was made aware that of the person that was 13 years old in the group chat was 14 looking at him, and I posted it anyway. So they were like, oh bro, don't post it. Remember, there's a kid in the chat. And I was like, oh, and then I just posted the picture.
This final set of screenshots are just a collection of him still repeatedly sending nude images of himself to the same group chat over and over while knowing it's full of minors. By the way he responds, you can tell this is no accident.
So I posted that picture myself, and that was pretty much the end of it from there. I don't feel like there's much I can say about that. There's no excuse for it. It's fucking weird.
Okay, so this is weird as hell. But what does Technicals have to do with all this? Well, let's watch his response and find out.
This is in regards to the TwitLonger about my brother. Yes, I was in the group chat.
Excuse me, what? Technicals was in this group chat? No!
I was in every group chat because I was the leader.
Technicals, why?
I was leader of the crew that we made, which was this gigantic chat group of people in high school, adults, all this other shit. Yes, I was in the group chat. And I made it very apparent at the time that if anyone had a problem with someone in the group chat, to come to me and we would resolve it. At the specific period they're referencing in the TwitLonger, I remember this because me, along with everyone else, came to BJ and told him that was a really fucking stupid thing to do. Don't do something like that again because we are in a group chat where, it might be bad for other people. Told him it was stupid, never to do it again, and guess what? He didn't do it again.
Hey, it's John from the future here. This isn't even true. If we look back in the screenshots that were provided with the TwitLonger, we can see that the first time BJ did this was the 24th of December, 2016. And then he did it again on February the 18th, 2017. So he did do it again. That's just a complete and utter lie. BJ did this was the 24th of December, 2016. And then he did it again on February the 18th, 2017.
Was he removed after that? Because if he was removed from the chat, or if it was in a different chat, then Technicals isn't lying. So I just need more context, because then, yeah. I'm jumping ahead a bit, but nobody defended Turtle here. Yeah, that's exact. I'm just playing this part to give context. Basically, the argument he's trying to make is that, oh, if he wanted to condemn, he can't condemn Zero, because if he wanted to condemn Zero, then he would have to condemn his brother. But he condemned his brother, so he condemned. So why would he have trouble condemning Zero if he was able to condemn his brother? Like, he condemned both. It's not even... This is such a nothing point. He disavowed those chats. Tech has already said it like 20... Yeah, like... Yeah, they're just stirring the pot at this point.
So he did do it again. That's just a complete and utter lie from technicals.
Most people were just outraged because it was an outrageous thing to do, because that's how my brother is. He does fucking outrageous things and then doesn't think out the consequences of his actions. And obviously that came to bite him in the butt here because someone had receipts of him being outrageous. I did what I could at the time, told him it was a bad move. I didn't condone any of that shit.
That was quite the rollercoaster, wasn't it? Okay, let's break this down. So at no point did Technicals, as the leader of this chat, think that the not safe word art being sent into the...
I mean, did he say he was the leader of the chat? He said he was the leader of their crew. Maybe he was the leader of the chat, and if he is, then yeah. But at the same time, if... But even then, it's like... Okay, so if he's the leader of this group, he posts the images, and then he says, okay, don't do this. And he does it again, is he... first of all, if he did it again, firstly, was it in that same chat, or was it a separate chat? Because I think Tech said something like, they said it in other chats where there wasn't as much moderation. And they created separate chats to do that stuff. And then... yeah, that's what I was saying. That, and despite Tech saying he was in every chat, he stated this was a separate chat where he wasn't in. Yeah, so if he did it in one chat, he said don't do it again, and then he did it in another chat. First, was Tech in that chat, and if so, what was his response? Did he remove him and say, hey, you really need to stop this? Again, like, I don't think these are good points.
The chat with minors was a bad idea. At no point did he think that the people joining minors performing sex acts should be removed from the chat. At no point did he think that having his brother in the chat full of minors after he said his dick was a bad idea. Look, I get it. He was younger back then and he may not make the right call, but why is he still defending his actions to this day? When all this stuff came out, I assumed that Tech was also a minor at the time, since BJ said in his statement that he was the only adult in the chat.
I think I was the only person that was an adult at the time.
But it came out later that they're actually twins, so therefore Tech was also an adult at the time.
Obviously, I was in the chat and we're twins.
So you were the other... Okay, well, I didn't know you're twins.
Maybe we just have different standards, but if this was me, I would have removed the people sending the not safe for work art, and certainly would have removed BJ. Look, I understand that slip-ups could potentially happen. For example, you could forget how young some of the members are and send some not safe for work stuff on accident, but this was not an accident. It wasn't just like a few slip-ups. According to Tech himself, it was a running joke.
It's a joke. It was a running joke. Of naked children? Is that what he was drawing? Like, what did he draw?
It's just so bad, dude. When Tech was caught...
What did he draw? Why are you at? Oh, excellent.
Called out more recently for this, I think the natural response would be to take the fall and walk it back. This guy just went completely off the rails and decided that it would be a good idea to post the depiction of the minor having
This
sex
was a
with
dumb
BJ.
idea.
He just put this up
This
publicly on his Twitter. I unfortunately did see the images. One of them is pretty crudely drawn, with the other one being far more detailed. Needless to say, I scrubbed my phone's cache and muted Tech on Twitter. I do not know why he decided it would be a good idea to post this. Only after getting called out and flamed by fans and fellow creators did he decide to delete the tweet. Couldn't have come sooner, mate. This whole situation is absolutely insane to me, but it does also put the Zero stuff into perspective. If Tech had to come out and wholeheartedly condemn Zero, he would have had to condemn his brother as well.
And he did both. Didn't Tech say they removed him? I think he said... I remember him saying that he was removed from the community when this came out, but I'm not sure if... I forget if he also said he removed him from the chats, but... I mean, he condemned both. This is the dumbest argument that they make.
And to a certain extent, he would even have to condemn himself.
I don't think guilty by association really counts in this because everyone realized it was shit, even BJ realized it was shit, and never did it again. If you want to tag me with that somehow, that's not gonna get canceled for it, and I won't really care past this response, so yeah, that's all I have to say.
Okay, so humor me here. What if we remove the actions of BJ for a moment, so we're not using guilty by association? Let's see exactly what Tech is guilty of himself by comparing his statement to his brother's account of what went down in the group chat.
In this group chat that had people from 13 years old to my age 19 at the time, the conversations would often veer off into like adult topics like porn, sex, etc. Just thinking back on that now, that's like a red flag. I should have removed myself from the chat as soon as conversation started to veer off in that manner.
Yes, I was in the group chat. I was in every group chat because I was the leader.
I was in every group chat because there were multiple group chats.
Conversations would often delve into like adult topics, and they would share nudes of themselves and lewd pictures amongst themselves, and sometimes in the chat that I was in.
Technicals owned a group chat with his brother. Did you not?
Did you own the group chat, Technicals?
Yes, I was the leader of the group
Okay,
chat.
so you're just snipping at things
I
that
thought the word owned was funny.
Hold on. So you're telling me that Technicals at the age of 19 was the leader of a group chat where minors were sending nudes and lewd images of themselves, and he did absolutely nothing to stop them?
Except he did.
Brothers seem to notice that sexual stuff is talked about very often. So Tech, as the leader, has to be aware of this as well, right? And yet, he doesn't address this anywhere in his response at all. I'm not trying to imply anything here, but this is incredibly strange. I could not imagine a situation where I, or anyone I know, would ever let this happen.
Back then, on Messenger, you couldn't delete messages, so the image was just stuck there.
So you're saying the nude and lewd images of the minors were cached on your device as well? This just keeps getting worse and worse. Why would you ever let your brother post this video? It's so incriminating. It's important to note that when you're the leader of a group chat like this, where adults and minors are mingling, the responsibility to keep conversations from veering off into inappropriate directions does lie on you. It's also your responsibility.
I don't know how Tech is going to recover from John Swan's video. This is literally like... He's got Puff's recovery. Alright. Yeah, now they're... Yeah, exactly.
Ability to make sure that the miners are aware of boundaries so that situations like the one we discussed today can be avoided. It's a responsibility that technicals should have taken more seriously. I would be okay with him if he came out and admitted that he could have taken more action at the time, but he's doubled down on his stance again and again and again. He was an adult, and letting this shit run wild was an absolute failure on his part. It's so incredibly irresponsible that I can't even begin to put it into words. His morals are clearly all over the place if he thought that this was okay. And just to remind...
He didn't think it was okay. You're just putting words into his mouth. You're giving him beliefs. You're doing the Augie tactic, where you just give the person beliefs, and then you force them to either force them to correct you, or it must be correct. Yeah, exactly. Tech literally condemned his brother the day it came out. Turtle doesn't even go to any locals as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, so...
This is the guy we're getting behind to tell us who should and who should not be let back into the community. Throughout Technical's time of creating investigations into Smash, I believe that he's done some genuinely great work. Some people have unreasonably had their reputations completely ruined and deserve a second chance. Technicals was able to vindicate these people, and with that, he achieved a certain level of credibility within the space.
Don't try to tell me about credibility, John Swan. Don't ever try to tell me about credibility. Don't ever do that. Never. Ever again say the word credibility. Except for, I have no credibility. That's the only sentence you have the right to say. Don't try to tell me who is and isn't credible, John Swan.
But some people are better left to the side. I know Tech likely feels a lot of attachment to these topics since it's affected him on a personal level in the past, but I believe that he's let his emotions get the best of him. And when you're working with delicate cases such as these, it's important not to let facts be dictated by your feelings. It pains me to say this, but I don't think I can take any future Technicals video at face value anymore.
Just like I can't take any John Swan video at face value either, and it's not even just because of the dream stuff, because of what you did to Pie Man. Yeah, John Swan should not be talking about credibility at all. He should not be talking about credibility at all. Like, think about it. Which is the more quote-unquote corrupt side of this debacle? Tech side, or the side that literally has John Swan, who had his Pie Man situation and the Dream situation, Turkey Tom, who had the Pyro situation and that whole D'Angelo Wallace shenanigans. You have Nick and Augie following them in all that. Who's worse? If we want to talk about credibility, my dude.
And I invite you to ask yourself the same thing. Is this the person we should be listening to when it comes to who should and who should not be allowed back into the community? I'm gonna let you decide. But needless to say, I'm pretty disappointed. Tech, I don't hate you, man, but you've deflected everyone that has tried to knock some sense into you these past few weeks. So maybe something like this is the only thing that'll get you to listen to some reason. I hope you'll change for the better. But everyone else, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Yeah, so the only fair argument he made that entire video was that the Team Zero point that Tech made wasn't that good. That's it. That's like the only legitimate point he made all video. That's the only one. Everything else is just assuming everything she says is true. Hey, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Alright. Alright, chat, what are you guys thinking? Base live stream? The pot calling the kettle black, exactly. Yeah, he's talking about letting back into the community even though he's not even a part of the community. And nobody's trying to let him back into the community. John Swan's actually using circular reasoning. Yeah, I was the same way. I was 50-50 on this video, but now that I look back at the evidence just to refresh myself, be like, okay, what are the facts? I'm like, yeah, this is a dumb rap song. No, I gotta drop some John Swan bars. No, you're not supposed to take this guy seriously after lying about Dream. The runtime of this John Swan video's time will never recover. I mean, I've had some good laughs with stream, so... You know. Yeah, they don't even know Zero retired years ago. He's not coming back. Yeah, Pieman almost committed sewer slide. And then, not only did he make somebody want to commit sewer slide, what am I, suicide? Why did I say sewer slide? Yeah, not only did he make Pieman want to commit suicide, but when he said that he was, like, feeling suicidal, John literally then said he's suicide baiting. To a 15-year-old kid! A kid! And I'm supposed to take this guy... I'm supposed to be enlightened by this guy about credibility. You have none. Credibility, let's talk about integrity. You have none. Yeah, Zero did wrong, just not... Because EDP levels are so bad. So drastically bad. But what Zero did is still unacceptable, and you could honestly be put behind bars. For what... I'm sorry, I can't stop laughing, because now your messages for Sewer Slide are coming in. I'm sorry. Oh my god, but yeah. Yeah, Zero should not be allowed back in the community. That was not the point of Tech's video. In fact, when he tries to... John Swan tries to make the argument that, oh, if Nairo was allowed back in, then why does, like, Zero should be allowed back in? But, like, that was never Tech's point. In fact, he explicitly said ban Nairo. I'm really curious about what John's goal for making this vid is. Basically just to stir the pot, grift. Scrape up credibility, yeah. Augie and Swan just look and seem annoying. Yeah, Augie's the biggest joke in commentary. Stop saying sewer slide. Sewer slide sounds like a Mario level. Oh my god. It's obvious that commentators don't care about the truth, they just want clicks and views, yeah. That's just it. Zero should be allowed back in the community after 10 years. Sewer Slide Zone is my favorite Sonic level. Is Sewer Slide gonna become a meme now? Oh my god. This is gonna be like a running joke on the channel. We got the physics joke and Sewer Slide. The physics of sewer sliding. Man, Zero was sewer sliding into Katie's DMs. Augie's steady talking about this on Twitter. Let me see. Commentators don't know anything about Smash. Yeah. Commentators know nothing about Smash. That's what I said earlier in the stream. It's like they're trying to get from point A to point B when we've already finished the alphabet a year ago. How far do you think Tech will in his efforts? How far do you think Tech will in his efforts to take down the Smash community? Yeah, I think I don't believe he's bluffing. I commit sewer slide. Oh my god. Yeah, I remember seeing them somewhere, the tweets about Rittenhouse and Leffen. And yeah, I talked about that earlier in the stream. Slide to the left. Slide to the sewer, Chris. Oh my god. Stop. Yeah, commentators didn't even know Zero was retired. Honestly, it's up to Zero to prove these guys wrong. Could you imagine how stupid their vids will be in hindsight if in 10 years Zero is booming and has a great family with 4 kids? Sewer slide through the alphabet. Oh my god. Wait, hold up. Oh wait, I gotta mute this 'cause there might be gamer words. Let me... Wait, hold up. Wait, when's the part where he gets dragged through the sewer? Is this the episode where he gets, like, yeeted through the sewer? Where's the part where he yeets himself? Bro, the stuff you could get away with back in the day. Oh, he didn't even... Wait, where's the... Where's the part where he gets... Wait. Yeah, this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted. I was thinking of the wrong sewer clip. I'm just muting these just in case there are any gamer words. Although this is probably getting demonetized anyways.
Serving breakfast all day? Let's peep this out. It has all sorts of good, it has fish in it, and it...
It's the sewer slide. He committed sewer slide. What a shame. Alright, so yeah, this was a dumb video. So yeah. Augie coped for like 3 days straight after losing the debate to Tech. Yeah, that's kind of what Augie does.
Oh, I'm right. And if you disagree with me, you're wrong.
Yeah. I like how we hadn't had a content cop in 4 years, but the spirit lives on, yeah. Alright. So that's my opinion on this video. Thanks for watching. I'm probably gonna end stream in like 5 minutes. Just wanna... Sewer slide. Just wanna hear your thoughts. You guys excited for new upcoming content? That's because I can't screech. Alright, I'm gonna end stream here. See you guys.